let's see how well this works. I'm gonna transition this and move this direction. Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming silversmithing. Um, Welcome to the stream, everybody. We are still down in my basement, and part of that is because it is below, like 10 degrees Fahrenheit in the area. We had a significant temperature drop. And this weekend, we're supposed to get like snow and ice and all kinds of nasty. They are predicting us to lose power. Good morning, Robert. Robert Thiessen, hello. Hey, Mahalo. Welcome in, everybody. So yeah, like I said, the temperature has been dropping rapidly. I'm in the storm belt in the southern U.S. I'm not in the immediate like purple area, but I'm just above that. So we are predicting to get between 4 and 10 inches of snow over the weekend and into Monday. So they are predicting that there is a chance that we will have power outages and things like that. And if that happens, I will let you guys know. We should have power on Monday. I live on a main drag, so we're usually one of the first like people to get power back should power like be interrupted. And even if power is interrupted, even with below 10 degrees Fahrenheit temperatures, we'll be fine. We have the van battery that we're able to get 8 hours of power off of and warmth, and all we have to do is start up the van and run it for a little while, and then we will be able to refresh that power. So we're fine. You guys don't need to worry about us like freezing or anything like that. But it may interrupt the stream on Monday if some craziness happens. I will keep you posted on that. Staying below zero here until Sunday afternoon. Yes, it is crazy cold. Like I said, we're not below 0 Fahrenheit yet. I think we're still in the single digits. But I mean, still very unpleasant, and still I would still be unable to stream out in the hot shop because the lights wouldn't come on and it would just be too cold even with the ambient heat from the forge. So yeah, we are out here. I mean, I guess not out here. We're down here. So we moved one of the internet nodes because we have a patch node Wi-Fi system. We moved the one that's normally up there and services the garage at like the shop. We moved it down here temporarily. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get a much stronger signal. There is still, because we are going from the Wi-Fi down through the floor to this node that is down here with me. So there is a chance that we might be a little bit unstable, but hopefully we won't be nearly as bad as Wednesday was. Anything below 10 degrees is equally miserable. I agree with that, So I do have, well, that was most of my housekeeping that I had for today, but I have one other item that I want to talk about, and I'll talk about that a little bit after the ad that is supposed to start here shortly. And then once that item, the last, item is done, we will start working in the shop. I am planning on doing a shorter stream today because my breathing's a little on the weak side. Ordinarily, if I breathing as I am now, I could go out into the shop and I'd be fine. The adrenaline spikes out there and I get really, I feel good after. But that just does not happen down here. I think it's partially because I'm seated and I just don't have quite the adrenaline going. So we're probably going to stream for about an hour and a half today, which is very short for our normal stream. but I need to make sure that I am not overexerting myself. Um, but yeah, so hopefully, we will have some fun and finish what I have planned for, or in that hour and a half. I might go a little bit longer if I'm still feeling good and we've still got stuff to do, but I think an hour and a half is probably about where, or about right for this. So we are in the middle of the ad break. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to this weekend. I think we're just gonna be like sequestered here in the house. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't lose internet or power because I get bored out of my mind. We should still be able to use like the laptop and Wi-Fi from phone hotspots, but without power, there's no way to recharge it. It's just boring. I don't like it. So hopefully we don't lose power and it's not quite as bad as everybody says it's going to be. So, and I hope that you guys, any of you guys that are affected, I hope that you're fine as well. But yeah, it's a nasty storm coming up this weekend. um, so yeah. We've got about 15 more seconds, I think. How is my camera going? We were losing some frames, but I think we're all right now. That makes me happy because I don't like dropping frames. It's super scuffy and it's just not cool. Keep warm in the cool and have a good day. I mean, you too, Ferguson. I hope that you are also, going to be able to stay warm and, keep your power and, because I mean, the Waffle House Index ain't looking good for this weekend. Here in the United States, we have what's called a Waffle House Index. Waffle House it's exactly what you would think it was. It is a waffle restaurant, and they have emergency personnel like assessors, and so they actually are able to like threat assess, and they're open through anything. If it's possible to be open, a Waffle House is open. And I've heard that they're closing this weekend. So I really hope that, things blow over quickly and we can get power up and running again. So yeah. Doesn't sound exactly pleasant, but hopefully, fingers crossed, pray to all of the, the cosmos that things end up a lot less bad than they're predicting. All right. So I do have one other thing that I want to talk to you guys about as far as my like housekeeping stuff. So 2 weeks ago, so not last week, but the Friday before last, was my affiliate anniversary, and we did a T-shirt giveaway. And the winner of that T-shirt was Mahalo, who I believe is here. Yeah, ice forecast is no bueno. That's a showstopper anywhere. Yes. So yes, Mahalo, you won the shirt, and I wanted to show it to you. I was finally able to get it or to get the thing to stick. So this right here is your T-shirt. So we've got, the size that you requested and the color you requested, and then it's on there. So I will send this out to you as soon as I can leave the house through the storm. I don't think that I will be able to do it today before the storm happens, but I will send it out to you as soon as I can through the storm. So congrats, mahalo. Thank you so much for all of your support, and I hope you like your T-shirt when you do get it in probably a week and a half. So yeah. And I am planning on taking that design and putting it up on a low print run T-shirt like site so that you guys can purchase those shirts if you want them. Like I only have 2 more of the decals left. But if we do the low run shirt design like print printer, you should all be able to get them should you want them. So yeah. Yeah, no hurry at all. Not really t-shirt weather for a while, right? It is a little cold. I mean, I personally, I wear t-shirts under all of my sweatshirts and things, but you know, not everybody wears t-shirts during the winter, you know, even as undershirts. So, badass t-shirt design. Yeah, I like it. It was designed by my mother and my sister. So, super exciting. And like I said, if you guys would like those, I will set up a single run print t-shirt site with those designs, and I will link them when, you know, when I've got that set up. I want to make sure that they're quality or high enough quality for me, because, you know, it was a bear just finding a shirt at the store that I felt was high enough quality. So I want to make sure that you guys get good quality product for your hard-earned cash. So, yeah. I know ice is no joke. I was without power for 4 days after Christmas. Ooh, that's nasty. That's nasty. All right. So, now that I am done with my housekeeping for the day, I'm going to talk to you guys about what I'm planning on doing today. So this is where we left our pauldron, right here. And here I will show you guys what it looks like from, you know, the close-up camera. So we've got a really nice ridge here, and we've got a faint amount of the ridge on the outside edge. We will need to do a little bit of hot forming to kind of pop that out, make it a little bit easier for her to see. But I'm pretty happy with what we've got so far. You can kind of see this other side. Now that we've got the pauldron itself pretty much made, we need to make sure that we put the emblem on the pauldron. And this is the Mandalorian pauldron, and it wouldn't be complete without the Mudhorn emblem. So we are going to put this Mudhorn emblem on the side of the pauldron. So I printed off a template, and so we're going to cut it out, and then we're going to cut it out of this. So first things first, let's make it small enough so we can apply it. So the process that we're going to be doing today is called piercing. Whoops. I guess that can sit on the floor, I guess. All right. Is it about the right size? I think the steel I know is about the right size, but I may have cut this a little bit on the wide side. So let's thin that out just a hair. Okay. All right, so we're gonna apply it just like so. Are you going to etch it? I am not going to etch it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it out of the steel. So right here, this is rubber cement, right? So some of you may know of it from like school, you know, if you're older. They've kind of gotten rid of rubber cement these days in the schools. In favor of things like glue sticks. But you can still find this guy, or the Elmer's rubber cement every once in a while. So what we're going to do is, I think I'm going to do that, yeah. We're going to apply this to the back side here. Nice and generous amount. Trying not to like get it all over the bench, because, you know. And we're going to glue this piece onto our steel. Now, the reason that we use rubber cement is because it actually sticks to the steel adequately enough, or the non-ferrous metal. It also sticks to non-ferrous metal, but it sticks relatively good. But it also peels off really nicely as well. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stick this on here like so. And now we need to let it dry. So you can kind of see it's already stuck on there pretty well. Evening sandwich. Just use pine sap if you can't find it. JK. I mean, pine sap might actually be pretty decent with this. I don't know. I've never used pine sap for that. So we're gonna let this dry for a little bit so that it's not sliding around. And the plan is to cut all of the white out around the white, or I mean, around the emblem, right? So most of this area, we can kind of just like use the saw blade and just like go around it, right? There's a couple areas that we're going to need to drill holes in here so that we can get inside some of these white areas like the eye and like some of the inner jaw and things like that. So I have the drill, and we're going to drill some holes in there and thread the saw blade through the holes, and then we'll cut those out that way. But the positive, what we want to be left with is the black area, and we want to cut away all of the white area. So that is our goal today. So once I have this cut off, we will be able to kind of curve it a little bit and apply it to the side of the pauldron. I haven't decided which, or we'll have to figure out which side it belongs on. I think it's the right pauldron. So it'll probably be on this side right over here. So we'll have to do a little bit of curving to get it to fit on the side of here. But, you know, once we get it nice and off of the rest of the steel, we should just be able to just tack it on there. I'm thinking what we're going to do is we're probably going to drill a couple of holes where we want the emblem to be, and then we are going to do a couple of like tack welds through the drilled holes into the back of the Mudhorn emblem in order to apply it. I think that's probably the best way to go about that. After we do saw this out, I am going to file the edges so there's got a nice bevel on them, and it looks like a nice raised emblem on the pauldron itself. Did you glue the paper on as a stencil? Yes, I did. I used rubber cement, and I'm not sponsored by the rubber cement or anything like that. You can use any, you know, I use Elmer's because it's the only brand that I can buy in this area. But I mean, rubber cement is the, you know, the item that you're looking for. Like I said, it kind of it sticks to the metal, and a lot of other glues do not stick to metal. And so it sticks pretty well, but you can also just peel it right off. Rabid Scotsman is on a 10-stream streak. That is awesome. Thank you so much for your support. Awesome, awesome. I am so happy that you guys enjoy my stream that much. But yeah, not sponsored, but could be. You know, that's kind of just me. You know, I take corporate sponsors. I mean, I'm a little bit small, so most people don't really know who I am. But you know, if you're a corporate sponsor looking for streamers to sponsor, I'm here. Okay. So it looks like our paper is pretty nice and stuck now. It's pretty dry. So I am going to find a good saw blade. Let's see. Can I use this saw blade? This one's bent, so that implies that I've used it before, so we're not going to use that. So these are jeweler's saw blades, and I'll show you what they kind of look like. I don't know if you can see those quite well enough, but they basically are just like they're very much like what am I trying to say? Not, I mean, I guess kind of jigsaw blades, but also like I'm losing it, guys. So basically they are one directional saw blades. They have like a little Christmas tree kind of tooth to them. I buy them by the gross from a place called Metalliferous. You can buy a lot of different places, a lot of different websites. Metalliferous is one of the cheaper places to get them. You can also get them on Rio Grande, which is where I bought my torch. And then Stetler. Or Stellar? I think it's Stetler. But yeah. So as I look at this, I feel like I'm blind as a bat these days. So I'm actually running my finger along the teeth of this guy. And I'm going to show you guys how I'm threading this. All right. If I put this close here, you might be able to see it. Okay, if I run my finger down the threading, one way it kind of sticks, and the other way it just slides right along. Okay, then I have it the right way. We kind of want the blade to be like a cat, right? So we want it to be slick, and you can pet the cat one direction, and you got the tail, which is the handle of the saw blade. That's how my silversmithing instructor always taught me how to thread a jeweler's saw. I think the last time I was playing with this, I had broken my saw blade off a little bit. These guys are always adjustable, so if you break them, you can kind of adjust and still use a broken blade a little bit. You want to make sure that you're not using a dull blade, but a broken blade and dull blade are different. So we will be breaking the saw blade a few times today, because saw blades like this are not actually designed for steel. They're actually designed for non-ferrous metals. Yes, they are tiny hacksaw blades. That's the what I was looking for. I was looking for the word hacksaw. But yes, they are tiny hacksaw blades. So this blade is a double-aught blade. If you're looking for the size of it. So when you are picking a saw blade, you pick based on the gauge of the metal that you are cutting. So you want to make sure that at least 3 teeth, or like the metal is about 3 teeth wide. If not, or if it's less than 3 teeth, you're going to get hung up, and the saw blade is going to dull out, and it's going to break on you a whole bunch. But if you can get 3 teeth in the width of the saw blade, or of the steel, or non-ferrous that you're using, the sheet metal, then you're good to go. Yes, it is totally a jeweler saw. Curie often transfers prints onto the metal with acetone. It seemingly tends to rub off, though. There are several different ways that you can do this. The acetone method is really good, but oftentimes I find that it just doesn't work for me because my hands sweat a lot, and the sweat from my hands tends to rub off any of the acetone transfers that I've ever found. So the rubber cement often works for me. Sometimes it doesn't work well if you've got old rubber cement, or and it's just it's not 100%, but I mean nothing's really 100%. So yeah. But this okay. So you guys were talking about etching earlier today. You asked me if I was going to etch this. And so one of my favorite things about acetone transfer, and the reason why I have the printer that I do, is this is actually a toner printer. And the great thing about toner is you can take toner and transfer the toner with acetone onto a piece of metal, and that toner will actually act as a resist. So you can print off a image with a toner printer, transfer it with the acetone, and then etch whatever you want. It's so cool. And I'll show you. Let me show you how that, what it looks like. You can't see it as well as you used to, but this is my wallet, and that's a panel from an X-Men comic book, and I etched that on here. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's actually pretty nifty. So that's one of the nifty things that you can do with toner and acetone transferring. I actually learned about that on the internet one day. And I tried it and it actually worked, and it was so cool. Not something I learned at school, though, unfortunately. It would have been cool had I known that in school, though. This is kind of a hacky method to make circuit boards at home. Yes. And that is where I got that method. I was looking up etching techniques and etching acids. And I saw a bunch of stuff on circuitry and circuit boards and how people do that stuff. And so, yeah, I stole it from you computer guys. All right, I'm going to move a little bit over this direction. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is I've got a little weird hooky guy there. I think what I'm going to try and do, wonder as I wander, are you going to be strong enough to just, I guess not, since you're stuck in the closed position. It's been quite some time since I've actually used some of these tools, so they're not as good as they used to be. It's kind of hanging up a little bit, but I think it'll be all right. I think I can manage. All right. So like I said earlier, this saw blade is not designed to work with steel. So it is going to quickly become dull. But that's all right, because I have a gross. A gross is a dozen. All right. What is Albert's cousin's name? No idea, but he runs on my PC. I think that's probably like a circuit board thing. Maybe. So I am going to be going all the way around this piece of steel with the saw blade, and we'll see how long that takes. Then we're going to go back through, and we're going to get the eye and the mouth, and then this little like weird nose section. Then we're going to spend a little bit of time doing some filing. Yeah, it's been a really long time since I've done any piercing, and I'm actually a lot faster at it than I originally anticipated. It's probably what I get for becoming a professional jeweler for a while. You know, you practice techniques and then you just get better at them. Alright, move the finger. Move the finger. All right, we've reached the end of the first line. That's awesome. I think I'm gonna go all the way through. Off the edge, just for a little bit of stress relief. In the steel, also a little bit of ease, so that I'm just like cutting it all the way off and I don't have to worry about it hanging and cutting me as I go. Haha, we've reached the end. Whoops. You know what? I totally forgot that. That's my metal catch drawer. So all of the metal that comes off, I have a drawer here that can catch it. You need a laser cutter, right? I definitely need a laser cutter, but you know, most of the laser cutters that I've seen don't cut this or quite this thick of material. And the ones that do or tend to be a little bit more expensive. It is my dream to have a CNC laser cutter that'll go like all the way through like the thick plate. Um, because you can make a lot of money off of doing that. And, you know, maybe one day I will have it. But in the meantime, you know, I got what I got, right? All right, let me, since I can't seem to, I'm going to need to get rid of that. It's because it's going to get in my way. So since I can't cut it off, I'm going to bend it flat. So we're going to use my multi-tool because it's easy. It's available. Etc. We'll end up cutting it off eventually. This is a little like taggy from when I cut this piece off of the main chunk with the Beverly shear. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna turn off and on my camera just to make sure that I keep on recording real fast while the ad is going. Man, it's already been a half an hour. I did not even realize that it had already been that long. Hey, Blacksmith Pop, welcome to the stream. Hey there, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Working and lurking time, right? Hello. Yeah, sharp blades do make all the difference, Mahalo. Yeah, this is a fresh blade, so it's working pretty well. Normally, like a good jeweler, and I'm not amazingly the bestest jeweler in the world, would actually be using saw blade lubricant. I hate using it because it always gums up my saw blades. That's why I personally don't use it, but I also go through like a whole bunch more saw blades because of it. So what saw blade lubricant actually does is it cools the blade as it goes down through the material. Like I said, when you use really, really tiny blades like I do to get some like really teeny things that I'm cutting out, they tend to gum up the little teeth, and so that's why I don't use it. So we will end up struggling and dulling out these blades. I'll probably have to about twice more. We'll probably have to do a blade switch. You are using the wrong lubricant. Normally, lubricant should take away the chips. The lubricant that I was using, the one that I don't like, is specifically designed for saw blades. So I just don't like it personally. A lot of people do, and it works beautifully, but I think it clogs up my blades. I think it's a personal preference thing. Well, time. I have a temporary anomaly in my bathroom. I'm in the shower for 10 minutes, but when I get out, 25 minutes has passed, right? I feel like that's what's happening today, you know? I totally did not realize that we were this late into the stream already. I thought we were just getting started. All right. So now we're going to take a look, and we're going to keep on. I need to get a little bit of a start here. And now we're going to turn. If I move that, I'm hitting the end of my saw on, or the handle of my saw on my drawer. All right, there we go. We got a good start now. You know what? I'm going to close the drawer. I don't need to collect this. I'm not using gold. I'm using steel. Trying to make sure y'all can see. All right, so we're starting to dull out this first saw blade, which is about right. It's not completely dull, but you can definitely tell it's starting to stick and it's going through a lot less smoothly. I can keep it going for a little bit longer, but we are risking it breaking. And if it gets much duller, I'll need to change the blade anyway because it just won't come through. It won't go through very efficiently. All right, time to change the blade. Well, I broke it anyway, so all good, all good. I missed one. I missed a comment. I'm thinking of bandsaw lubricant. It's very wet and just flushes the chips away. It's not quite like that. It's like a wax. Aliens abducted all of us without us knowing. Reason behind the time vortex being messed up. Could be, could be. I feel like since about 2014, like time has just been all over the place. Sometimes it's like it drags and sometimes it just keeps going. Kiri taught us that the bench skin or drawer is also a safety feature as it catches heavy hot stuff before it hits you in the lap or feet. Yes, yes. But I'm not working with anything terribly hot. And I am also, wearing steel toes. So I think I'll be okay without using the tray this time. Now, if I was soldering anything, I would definitely have the tray there because, like, flux could drop in the, on my lap. Sometimes there's also, like, a little bit of solder sometimes, like a solder ball. Well, I've actually ended up setting my lab coat on fire on numerous occasions because things flew in random directions, even with the tray, So it is very safety oriented. All right. Is this a bigger one? I think this is actually a bigger one. I have two sizes. Nope, it's the right size. I have two sizes of saw blades. I have zeros and I have double zeros. I didn't do this the last time, but the way that you tell that it's taut enough is you listen to it, you pluck it. It's been a while since I've done all of this jewelry stuff, guys. It's been a while. There we go. It's gliding through like butter now. All right, we're coming up on a sharp corner. One of the easiest places to break your blade is a sharp corner like this. So we're going up and down, but we're not going forward or back or anything. We're just kind of rotating our saw blade in a circle while going up and down in the same spot. This acts like a file. So I'm really creating like a tiny little circle until I get to the point where I can go forward again. And we are there. And I'm sure most of the stuff that I'm telling you guys, Kiri has already, explained to you. But, not everybody that watches me watches Kiri. And, it never hurts to have it repeated in a different fashion. All right, we're starting to get a dull blade again. Hey, Blue Red Metal. I thought you just felt the heat. Sometimes you do feel the heat of the broken saw, or of a blade that's really dull. We already know that blade is out of tune. It's sharp. It is sharp. Now it's dull, though. Unfortunately, now it's dull. All right, so what I'm going to do now is probably actually break this blade, but I'm going to try to meet that horn area right here, so that we can cut off another section to relieve some pressure and to see a little bit more of that shape. You can see it sticking there, and that's a major indication that this blade is really dull. So once we get all the way through here, we're going to change it again. All right. And like I said, this saw is not, this saw blade is not designed to go through steel. Steel is a lot harder than sterling silver, gold, copper, or brass that these are actually designed for. So we are taking the temper off of this, and it's also like making it a lot, it's not working amazingly well. So we're making up for it, but we have to use a few more blades than we would if we were using a softer metal. Why not sharpen the blade? Because if I went to, or like they're so small, I would have to actually use an optivisor or a microscope to sharpen the blade. They're just so small, and if I were to go about doing it, I would more than likely break the blade. These are very disposable because they're so thin. Okay. Flip it this way. Also, the heat from sawing the steel, is, like I said, is taking the temper off of the blade. So it's just not going to be hard anymore. It's going to be all nice and soft, and you're just not going to be able to get a nice hard, sharp blade. It's just not going to stay sharp. You as a blacksmith could create a stronger blade, no? I mean, theoretically I could, but I'm not good enough to be that precise, you know? These are actually cut out with a laser, like a laser cutter, you know, by a manufacturer. I just don't have the patience nor the skill to do something quite that small. But I'm sure that someone does, you know, that we haven't always laser cut our saw blades, you know. Back before we had laser cutters, I mean, someone made them by hand, you know. It slowly blades again. So the next blade you put on there first destroyed the temper and then hardened it again. So this is 1019, so it's your low carbon steel, so it does not actually harden. But the saw blades, as they go through the steel, they tend to heat up, and as it heats up, the temper goes away, and so therefore it is no longer hard and gets soft, and so the tines, the teeth, they tend to curl, and that dulls out the blade, right? So it makes it harder for it to get or to go through the steel. It's softer. It kind of hangs things up, and that's why it was kind of sticky for a while. Yeah, you can't really like I mean, you could retemper them. You really could, but I don't know that it would be worth it. Cause I think I bought this set, this gross of saw blades. I think I bought them maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I paid $6 for a gross, which is a dozen. So a dozen is 12. So 12 times 12 is 144 blades. I spent $6 on that, Not really efficient for me to retemper and sharpen the blades. However, you very much could save all of the blades, right? If I took all of the whole gross of blades and I put them in with, like, I don't know, a bunch of other people's saw blades, I could totally turn that into Damascus, because these are high carbon steel blades. It might be interesting to see what happened if we put some 15 and 20 in with a whole bunch of the saw blades. I haven't collected enough of them to do that, but it could make an interesting pattern. Yeah, bandsaw blades are a bit more expensive. I mean, the bandsaw that I have that you guys saw me cut the giant axle with, I paid $20 for 3 of those. Like I said, I paid $6 for 144 of these. So these aren't worth sharpening and keeping them in nice condition, but those are. Yeah, it would be a nice Damascus steel blade. Oh, you have powdered steel? I don't have any powdered steel. I need to order some eventually. I would love to make some Damascus. I do have plans on doing that sometime this summer. However, like, prices are fluctuating. There's always a chance that that my plans don't go, completely followed through. I can't promise that we're gonna make some Damascus this summer, but that's my plan. I pay 30 euros for a bandsaw blade. Like my bandsaw blades, like I said, they're like 20, $25 for 3 of them, but they're the mini ones, right? A lot of the, like, more expensive ones are the bigger ones. The big stand-up machines. Mine's just like a portable bandsaw, like a portaband. It's a lot cheaper. I think I even have a can of pickled powdered steel as well. That could be fun. That could be real fun. But I feel like before I even attempt to do Damascus, I need to get a little bit more comfortable with forge welding. So, like I said, this summer, the plan is to do some forge or some Damascus. And then this spring, I want to do some forge welding. I have not yet told the butler, but my plan is to make the butler a Damascus kitchen knife. They are so cool and so pretty and so useful. But I feel like I need to be a little bit more patient and comfy with making forge welds, and so practice makes perfect, and we'll get some stuff done we'll get some practice in before we try that. Got a nice gentle curve coming in. It's kind of a sharp curve, but it's also a little on the gentler side, so I think we won't need to do the circled filing in order to make this happen. I think we can just go forward through it. As long as we go a little on the slower side. And I know it doesn't look like I'm going all that slow, but I have slowed down a little bit. So when I go real fast, I'm kind of pushing the blade forward as I go. I have reduced the amount of pressure that I am pushing forward for this piece. Yeah, it's a stand-up bandsaw. The blade length is 2 meters 76 centimeters. Ooh. Damascus is the easiest forge welding. I can imagine. Might be easier to cut out the details before removing it all the way. Yeah, it might be. But I didn't think about it. And it'll work for us anyway. I actually have done quite a bit of this. All right. Okay. So we're going to go all the way through, straight forward. All right. So now the Mudhorn is mostly out of here. We do kind of have like a handhold right there that we're going to be able to use to get some of the more intricate stuff. So now that we have most of it on here, we're going to take a look at it on there. That's not bad. I think I picked the right size, I think. It's not too bad of a size. We'll just need to kind of curve that horn in a little bit as well as that there. So the next thing I'm planning on doing is sawing out the eye. So we're going to drill a hole through here, and we're going to do a hole through the mouth and through this little nose cavity. And we'll probably just use the rest of this and this little handhold here to kind of make that a little bit easier for us. All right. So, got quite a few pieces here that we've cut off. So we're good to go. I'll stick those in my drawer for the moment. And I'm going to use this little piece right here of wood because I don't want to drill directly into my bench. And I don't really want to drill into my bench pin. I'm trying really hard to keep the bench pin as nice as possible. Typically, when I was working at the jeweler's shop, I would drill right directly into my bench pin and I'd cut right into it. It's just, I'm trying to save this one. It's kind of nice. I've had it for a while. I have an old sawmill bandsaw blade and bicycle chain soaking in vinegar to remove rust for canister. Ooh, that sounds like fun. I feel like just straight sheet on sheet on sheet, like a stack, would be a lot easier than doing canister. But I've never tried either. So, we'll see. It might work, it might not. Put some scrap wood under your work. Yeah, I got a little bit of scrap wood here that we're gonna use. I don't know why it keeps doing this to me, but every time the ad break starts, it scrolls up my chat. I do not like it. I do not like it at all. Yep, I will definitely put a piece of wood so that I can drill through it. Why is my chat paused? I don't know. Don't pause my chat. Computer is not happy with me. There we go. Okay. So yeah, I've got a piece of scrap wood right here, and I'm gonna drill on top of it like so. So I like to use 1/8" drill bits for doing this because they're nice and teeny tiny. So I'll kind of show you. So I can use, you know, something teeny like that. I've just thought about something, guys. You know what I'm missing? I left my center punch out in the shop. So I need a center punch because otherwise the 1/8" saw, or I mean not saw, the 1/8" drill bit is just gonna go skidding across the surface. So I need to go grab that. Of course you would. You were planning on it. I'm just annoying. I didn't need to say these things. It's fine, you know. I also have a giant drill because reasons. This is way too big. Ordinarily, I would have a flex shaft, which is basically about the size of a Dremel. They're like yay big around, and you can. They have like these little cords that you can put a drill bit in, and it's a lot easier to drill. Right now, I've gotten to the point where I can do it with these big old drills. It's not pleasant. You should use a smaller drill if you've got one. But yeah, I need to go and grab a center punch real fast. Got your multi-tool with you? I do. They usually have an all tool you can punch with. Maybe. Let's see if I've got one. I got a screwdriver and a bottle opener, and I got a Phillips head and a knife, and that's a can opener. Ha! Is this an all? I think that's just a teeny felt flathead, and it's a bigger flathead, and then I have scissors. I might be able to use this. I don't think so, though. I think it's too wide. Do I have another one around? Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. I had one. There was one right there. Bruh. That's not going to be a happy thing. That'll work, though. I need another hammer. Here's one. Somebody is calling me. I don't know who it is. I really don't know who that is. Okay. The beauty of this nice little, like, whatever that is. So I'm going to hold it, like, on the bench, like so. Haha! Worked beautifully. Okay. Yes, basement tool time with Ray. If I had a hammer. Your salt blade container is blocking your camera shot. Is it? I'm sorry. So basically what I use is this, it has like a weird pick on it, and then I used a claw hammer, and I went like this, hammer. And now I have 3 little center punch marks. Yay! Yeah, it's a weird pick hammer. I'm not entirely sure why I have this. I use it for like the flat because I really like a good chasing flat hammer like that works very well. I'm not entirely sure what this pick is for. This is like from a set of car body hammers, so I don't know if anybody is a car body artist or, you know, works with car bodies, you know. So basically what I did was I put this guy down here like so, and I hammered on top like that. And it worked beautifully. Is it a plate forming hammer? Yes, it's a car body hammer. Okay. So now we're going to use a ridiculously huge drill. This is way too big for this project. I am very well aware of it. It's a pain in the butt to deal with, but it's what I got for now. Because I don't have a flex shaft yet. We're working the problem. I'll put that there. And then, let's see if I have a long enough cord on this guy in order to plug it in. I hope this works, guys. I hope this works. Okie doc. Yes, it is totally a massive power drill with a ridiculously small bit. That's what we do here at Ray Smithy. We work with the tools that we own. Whoops, I wanted to do that with that as an inset, and I believe that will work. Okay. And I need to make sure that we're on the wrong, or the right setting, the wrong setting. I need to make sure that we're on the wrong setting, guys. On the wrong setting. Okay. We're getting there. I want you guys to know that I buy brand new 1/8 inch drill bits every time I want to do a project like this, because every time I do this, I end up dulling them out or breaking them. Okay. We are through the steel and into the wood. Haha, so we have a nice hole in his eyeball. It looks like he has like a little pupil and stuff. It's kind of adorable, and that's kind of weird, I know to say. Why are you wobbling like that? Yeah, the reason I'm wobbling like that is because I'm putting way too much pressure on the drill bit. And I've bent it. This always works so much better with a flex shaft, guys. So much better with a flex shaft. All right, we've made it through that one. We've got one left to go. All right, all done. Got 3 holes through there. I don't know if you guys can see those. They're not amazingly, but you can definitely see them on these. Alrighty. Blacksmith is using a drill badly. Deal with it. You should not do that. You know that just slows down your drilling and dulls the drill bit. Yeah, I mean it's not good, but I mean, you know, if I were doing things the correct and truly correct way, I would actually not be using something this large. It's very difficult to control a little blade like that, or a little bit like this. It's really easy to snap it, dull it, or like bend it. This thing is way too huge to use with something like this. It's what I have right now, and you use what you got, right? It's all right. I know Bluesy means well. And I mean, I did say that I was doing it wrong from the get-go. I did. Lightly rest the drill on the metal and have the drill going reasonably quick. It's actually a lot easier for sheet steel like this if you use a much slower drill speed. Because with the teeny bits like that, the faster you go, the hotter it gets. So like I said, that particular drill does not have a slow setting, and so it was the wrong drill, like the abject wrong drill to do that with. So, but we use what we got. Alrighty. Okay, so now that we have these 3 little holes in here, I'm going to start with the eye. So I'll kind of show you guys. We're going to start with the eye right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread the saw blade through the hole that we just drilled, like so. And then I'm going to hold this so that I don't end up dropping it. And we're going to retighten it. So now we are inside that eye hole. And we are ready to go. All right. We are turning the saw blade because we've reached the eye, or like the edge of the eye hole. So like I said, we're not going forward, we're not going backward, we're just going up and down and turning, rotating the blade in that hole and creating a wider hole that makes it easier to turn. We've got a nice long straightaway, so we'll go pretty quickly, but at the end, there is a little bump there, so we're going to have to be really slow and really careful when we get there. All right, we've reached that edge, and I hope my fingers aren't being too terribly awkward and in the way so you guys can't see things. Because we're turning like this in such a short order, it's actually, we're getting to the point where we're starting to really quickly dull the saw blade, so we're going to do our best with it. This is a very likely point at which we will break the saw blade, but we're very well aware of that. All right, we made it. Woohoo! And we're gonna go and we're gonna get to that hole that we drilled. So now we have a nice high, or like large eye hole. Do you have one of those drill stands that make those big drills into tiny little drill presses? I don't really. I know of them. I know people who have them. I just don't have one right this moment. It's not amazingly high on my priorities list right now. There's a few other things that we'd like to get a hold of first. So now we're going to continue going around this eye. Okay, I just broke the saw blade. I knew it. I was just about ready to say this is probably where I'm going to break my saw blade. And what did I do? I broke the saw blade. Want a drill stand? I'm willing to buy you one just because I do not like to see you suffer like that. That's fine. I mean, it's not that big of a suffering, you know. I'm not really suffering per se. It's just you learn to adapt over time, right? I've actually been doing it this way for many, many years. Um, I'm used to it at this point. I feel like I was really spoiled when I worked at the jewelry store, you know, because I had like a flex shaft. And eventually I will get one. But in the meantime, we adapt. But thanks for the offer. I greatly appreciate it. Okay. We need this way. Okie Let's thread that eye through. It's going to be a lot easier now that we've opened up a much bigger eye. Now, the thing that I do need to do, that I really need to do, and I forgot to do this morning, was grab my Optivisor. I have an Optivisor. I just didn't grab it this morning. I can do this, but I feel kind of a little bit cross-eyed doing it this way. All right. All right. Did I tighten this enough? I may not have. It feels like it's a little bit loose. Maybe it's not catching right. That's why. All right, I think I'm good. Hope my fingers aren't too far in the way. We're going to relieve some of the stress by pulling the saw blade out. Although, you know, there's always a chance that when we pull the saw blade out that we... There we go. Add more stress. All right. There it went. I was like, where did that go? You know what? You know what? There it went. That's nice and fun. Hey, Lexi. As long as you're not cutting into your fingers, they are not in the way, I think. That's true. But I also want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing. You know? I wonder if I accidentally put this backwards, like upside down. I bet you that's what I did. I don't have my Optivisor, and I'm an old lady these days, and I can't like see nearly as well as I used to. I think I put this saw blade on upside down. Old lady needs glasses. There we go. All right, let's see. Let's see. Have I fucked it up? Did I accidentally put it on it upside down? Is it upside down now or is it upside down before? I don't know. I can't tell. It feels like it was upside down before. I don't know. You know what? I'm just going to change the saw blade. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with this one. It's not working very well. Occasionally, they don't work amazingly well. And one in every, like, couple of packs, because they are, like, they're bundled in, they are bundled in 12, like, in a dozen. One in every, like, 3 of those packs has a tendency to be, like, all screwy. Because it wasn't cut right. Because they're so eaty. You're not old, kid. You're right, you're right. Sometimes I feel old, though. Oh, that also does not help. Once upon a time, my adjustable arm got loose. Man, I feel a little on the old side, mostly because, you know, when I was a jeweler, my eyes, like, they pretty much died. All right. That's better. Much, much better. All right. Go to the hole. Okay. Now we need to back out. And go the straightaway. Because it's much easier to saw the straightaway than to make that ridiculously hairpin turn. There we go. And we have a lovely Mudhorn eye. So that is 1 of 3. Well, the blade is too far away from the camera. I think it is upside down. Oh, it is a dozen. Or it is done in dozen. Yeah. I do. I think that it was, I was having issues with it because it just wasn't working right. All right, now we are in the middle of an ad, and I'm going to wait out the ad before I start the next little section. The next little section is going to be the mouth, I think. So we're good. Look at that right there. Yeah, we're going to do the mouth, and then we'll do the nose, and we'll cut out the rest of this after the nose. Whew. So I think we are going to be going a little bit later than I originally had planned because I really want to get the whole thing cut out. So however long that takes, we're going to cut it out. Not bad, not bad. So would you guys believe that this is actually not one of the more complex things that I've ever cut out like this? I mean, this is actually relatively easy. Some of the stuff that I've cut out is so teeny. It's kind of ridiculous. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through on this mouth. And so I don't know why my chat keeps pausing. Okay. Blah. So we're going to go into the mouth. There's a lot of weird hairpin turns in here, and I might regret only making one hole in here, but we'll see how it goes. It's fine enough. Okie doke. Let me make sure that my camera is still going real fast. I would believe it since you have stated that you did some jewelry work. Seems like there's a lot of intricate cuts to make on some pieces. There are a lot of really intricate pieces on some of this stuff. But then there's also like a lot of stuff where it's cast in. Like, so a lot of the US jewelry designs have like gating and really intricate things on the underneath side. That's actually cast in there to save gold and cost. But when I was a jeweler, I was actually the metal specialist. So any special like design or anything that had like some special like design in it that needed to be like resized or anything like that, I specialized in that. I didn't get to do a lot of settings, but I did a lot of metal stuff. Do, do, do. Haha, another little piece right out of there. Now I gotta figure out what is the best direction to hold this. Probably like so. But I think my finger is currently in your way. I don't think you can see it as well. There we go. That's a little better. All right. Let's bring this all the way back around. We've got a nice edge to go along. Oh, come on. You know you want to come out of there. There it goes. Haha. We're going to hold that right there, and then we're going to bend this back and forth a little bit just to grab it out. Alrighty. Here's where we start getting real intricate. When you sawed or drilled gold, did you sweep up the shavings and the dust? Yes, and we sold it to the refiners. Well, I guess we didn't sell it. We actually got a discount on it. This is safety third if I've ever seen it. Is it? I don't know. I don't know that there's anything like super safety third about it. You'll have to let me know what's scaring you about this ping. I'm sorry. I don't mean to scare you guys. Not when you know what you're doing. I do know very well what I'm doing, actually. So this looks a lot worse than it is because right now it looks like I am sawing towards my finger. But I'm actually sawing into the wood down here, right? So I'm not actually, I can't slip and saw myself. If I slip, I'll slip into the wood. So you can kind of see right there where I've been sawing in this little wooden section right there. So, and I'm doing that to kind of help me support the really, really thin edge. So, yeah. It's not as scary as it looks, if that makes sense. What's over there? Where I'm at. That's where I'm at. But yeah, it looks a lot worse than it is, I promise. Man, I'm actually getting to the, yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. It is the only way to get things done. It's not the only way to get things done, but it is often in my world because I'm impatient. But I mean, I also am very much into the whole do as I, or don't try this at home world. But yeah, like I said, I am using the edge of this wooden pin. I don't know if you can see it, but I've actually been literally sawing into this wood as a backing to save my fingers. Um, the only way that or like when I have it like this, when I'm holding it like this, the only way, or like I have this in this bench pin in such a way that the only way that I will stab or cut myself is if I break the blade. Right? And that does happen, right? But it's not nearly as scary or painful as you could imagine, you know? It hurts, yes, but it's like, it's not that bad. I promise. It's not that bad. All right. All right, so now I got that tooth cut, and it's being weird because there's a little section that didn't come all the way out. There it went. All right. So I've got the majority of the mouth out. So what we're going to do next is we're going to look at this nose. Yeah, so I know exactly the risks that I'm taking, and I should probably like explain those risks a little bit better. But yeah, I'm being a lot safer than it looks. Yeah. Like that. So right there, you can see it start to bleed right there. I actually, so you can see the saw blade right there. I broke it and stabbed myself with the bottom of the saw blade. But I mean, it didn't hurt. It's like, yes, it's bleeding, but it's very minor. So, blah. What we do, we take, paper towel, roll it up. And what do I do with the tape? I don't know what I did with the tape. Oh no, blood. Get out a band-aid. Ray's bloody smithy egg. Yeah, unfortunately I did, I did the teeniest little drop of blood. So yes, there is some risk using a saw blade, like just like anything that I do, make sure that you are well aware of that risk before you start. But It's just kind of like, it's going to happen. You have to, you have to accept that from the get-go. Redneck Band-Aid, yes. Yes. I don't know what I did with my tape. I had it earlier and I don't know what happened to it. So right now I'm just squeezing it. Eventually it'll stop bleeding. So, it's not a big thing. It barely hurt at all. I could do the same thing with a thumbtack, No big deal. No big deal. Alright. Let's get ourselves a new saw blade. But yeah, if you don't want to bleed on your project, if you don't want to, take a risk, you know, it's a similar in risk to, hammering your piece or your thumb in the blacksmith shop. It'll happen eventually because it always does. That's why I wear safety glasses. Because you never know when a saw blade piece is going to fly. You never know. But yeah, I don't recommend doing this at home unless you have some training or are willing to take that risk. Crazy glue works great as well, yes. Blood went into this pauldron, but no sweat and tears. Well, not yet. Not yet. I'm sure sweat is around somewhere. I could totally find some sweat for this if need be. Tears, maybe not. I try not to cry about my projects these days. Usually I laugh instead of crying. Alrighty, let's go. Alright, so once this little nose is gone, we are going to be able to kind of take out the rest of that edge. We're also going to work on this little this little teeth section right there. We should be pretty good for that. All right, we got a nice sharp blade. Okay, let's back this out. And come around this way. That was a little surprising. I totally thought that I had broken the blade right then. There. Now the nose is gone. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to work on taking off this little area there. So we no longer need to thread the steel through the saw blade. We are good to go. Internal tears. Maybe they're internal tears. All right, great success. Yes. Okay, we are almost done with this. So exciting. So now we just need to go the rest of the way around. We do have this little tiny little opening there that we will have to deal with when we get there. But we're getting close. All the close. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. And I'm planning on going all the way across in a straight line. Then we'll come back and kind of take out some of these little tiny indentations. But it'll be a lot easier to do that after I've gotten rid of this big piece, because then I won't have to do much in the way of rotating the blade. Because rotating the blade is the best way to cut or to break the blade. We've dulled out one last blade. Well, maybe not one last blade. We'll probably dull out the last one that we used too, which will probably be the next one. All right, I'm not gonna wait for it to break. All right. Those are all dead blades. Do I have another one, or no? I have to open another pack. So, like I said, these blades come in a gross. So this is a dozen of those blades. So I'm going to look at each of the ends. They are. Let me show you what these kind of look like as a pack. There's actually a tiny, tiny little wire wrapped around the whole pack. So the idea is that you unwind it to a point where you can, where they loosen up. Just like so. Also got to make sure that you don't accidentally start winding it the opposite direction if it gets hung up on something. Are we going forward or backward through this? Haha, like that. This direction. I've also been known to thread these upside down on occasion if I'm not paying close enough attention. Always fun. Okie doke. We's getting there. Because I'm right-handed, I'm just going to thread this all the way through, all the way down to the other side, because flipping it around is not going to be comfy. Haha. Yay! Now we just have that tiny, or two tiny little places. There's like a little nosy thing right there, and then this tiny little bit of the teeth. So let's do the nosy thing first. Or I guess this. All right. Haha. So we've gotten through that one. Now we're going to go this direction. In this direction. And again, I am actually sawing into the wood right now. Kind of makes it a lot safer and a lot easier to deal with. It also helps support the piece. So now we've got that little bump out of the way. All we've got left is this little section of mouth right here. Here again, using the edge of the bench pin to guide my saw blade. Now we're going to put back this out. Turning. More turning. All right, now we've got one little dealy bobber right here. This is the difficult section because it's really nice and thin and it is no longer attached to the rest of the piece. So this is where we really use the edge of the bench vise, or I mean the bench pin to support. So right now I am sawing directly into the pin. Oh, come on. There it goes. All right. Coolies. Haha. All done. We have a lovely then you can saw towards yourself. You can hear it. Yeah. Okay. So this is the piece. And if we turned it around, it would look just like so. So you can definitely see that it is completely sawed out. There's a couple places that it's not like it is sort of touching, and that's going to give it a little bit of support as we are putting it on the piece. We're going to want to put it, I believe, on this side, like so. So like this, kind of like that. But yeah, we now have our Mudhorn emblem. Whew. We are at the 2-hour mark, and I had really only planned on doing an hour and a half. So I'm pretty proud of myself for being able to do that. Alrighty. So like I said, how we're going to attach this is what we're going to do is we're going to take a drill, and we're going to drill a couple holes through here. And we're going to do some upside down tacks. So we're going to come in from the hole that we've drilled on this side, and we're going to tack it in place. So you'll see the tack on the back side, on the inside, but you won't see the tack as badly on the front side. That means it's going to look more like it's floating on there. So for Monday's stream, we'll probably still be in this shop. Now, I'm not entirely sure what we're going to be doing yet, because the next step that I have for this pauldron is a outside smithy shop process. We are going to be truing up the corners on our trim, and I need the anvil for that. Because it has a nice like corner on the butt end of it that I'm going to use to true up those corners. So like I said, I haven't decided what we're going to do for Monday's stream if we're stuck in here. If for some miracle it's nice and warm, or it's not nice and warm, but like it's warm enough to go out there, that's what we'll do. So I will kind of keep you posted, but I think Monday's stream is going to be a little bit of a surprise. Yay! You're going to put some gemstones in this pauldron. I probably won't. I mean, I could if I had any, but I don't really have any gemstones right now. And I don't know that I can order them in time either. So it would be kind of cool to put some gemstones in, though. But yeah, so I will keep you posted as long as we have power, we will stream. Like I said, you don't have to worry about me. If we don't have power, I have places to go, and it will be warm, and I will be fine. But I just won't be able to stream if we don't have power. So fingers crossed we have power on Monday. And then, I don't know, maybe we'll do some soldering. Maybe we'll, do some small scale stuff. I don't know. We'll see. I'll come up with something fun, though. So thank you guys all for joining me today. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I hope you guys stay safe over the weekend and have a great rest of your weekend. So I will see you guys on Monday. Get a little wood stove or light a coal forge. Yeah, I will stay warm and safe. I also, if worse comes to worse, I bought tea lights. And so you buy a giant pack of tea lights for a couple bucks, and you can light them and put a terracotta pot on top of them. And then the tea light will heat up the terracotta pot, and the terracotta actually radiates that heat outwards. So if worse comes to worst, I have several terracotta pots, and I have a crap ton of tea lights, and we'll be able to use that to stay warm. So we'll be nice and safe, and we'll be mostly warm. So yeah, I hope you guys also stay warm. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you back here on Monday. Let's see who's around that we can raid off to. Transition. A Canario. I probably butchered that. Thank you guys, or thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream and welcome to the community. Right now, when I'm in here, I don't really get to see as many of the follows and subscriptions. So I apologize, but yes, thank you so much for that follow. All right. I think we are gonna raid off to... Ooh, is this a rug? We're making a rug. So Pika Cools is making a rug. I think that we're gonna go and raid them. That sounds like fun. Let's make some new friends. Rug making is so cool. I have always wanted to play around with a rug gun, a tufting gun. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you Monday. Bye.